First, I feel I ought to qualify what I am. I am an alien living in a banana republic called Australia. But that's a digression from the conversation that ought to be had in relationship to openly. Free speech, we're a free speech democracy. No one can take that away from anyone. Although the left and some of those in the right, they can, let's say, in Australia, there's a problem with free speech across the board, and generally in politics that's also the case. But the left are more so because the left themselves are totally controlled by a PC, a political convention or contract, where it is they have signed up to, whereas that means that all the left, and how many of them there are, so there's 1,000, all must say exactly the same thing and think exactly the same thing about any particular subject instructed to by their masters, whoever their masters are. The committee master said you can only say this, otherwise you're kicked out of the left, or you don't get a job with Hollywood anymore, or whatever it is, limitations, which is usually financial, because if you don't have a financial limitation on you, then you probably are more freer than those who are caught up in the left's insidious takeover over much of the society that go through universities and say they're intellectuals, and they've come out less educated than they went in, because they obviously they don't understand the most basic maths or English. Excuse me for a second. Right. Sorry about that, but I want to talk about the left, their anti-Semitic inculcations, and also their anti-Christian inculcations. And they seem to have an anti-Christian, anti-Semitic attitude. And this is because the idea that, a Christian, but they don't have an anti-Islamic attitude, which is very odd, because the Islamics is far stricter when it comes to the moral code than generally Christians are. Although, Christians are in themselves, without making a big noise about it, can be pretty sort of orthodox in their views in life. They call it traditionalist or whatever, or conservatives. And then, in other words, they're just people who have a view on life that, if you respect your family and your mother and father, and you respect your own gender, and you respect the other gender, then that's a traditional and conservative view on life, which the left resent. For some reason, they maybe don't have the quality of upbringing that is required to nurture what would be a conservative attitude towards life itself. Although, there are, differences, everyone's unique, and that's what makes humans so wonderfully interesting, the uniqueness of the individuality that the left is trying to remove out of as many societies as it can by getting them into collective thoughts on whatever it dictates to them what ought to be the politically correct way of thinking on any particular item, especially when it comes to Christianity, Jews, and Israel, right? This was the anti-Semitic attitude of Jeremy Corbyn, and the pro-Islamic attitude of Jeremy Corbyn is one example, and the same goes with the Dems in America. We now know for certain are involved with the Iranian Marxists. They're Marxists in Iran, and they're involved with that because Obama gave them over $100 billion to this organization, just to when Obama was in power, which showed why would he give over $100 billion to people that are saying death to America all the time? Very suspicious. And he supported, obviously, Obama was in support of that, and also all those who ride with him, and all those in the Dems who dare not criticize any aspect of Islam whatsoever, regardless. Islam condemns homosexuality, it condemns abortion, it says women have a role in life, what is a female role, and Islam is very specific about this, and that keeps their society, and I really, really respect that part of Islamic society, that it keeps a family together, because a family is based on the mother, being the foundation of a family is the mother, not the father. Father might be the so-called patriarch, but in reality, mothers are the matriarch in any family. It only looks like the women are oppressed, but mostly women control households in, in their own way, in their own feminine way, and they control the men in their own feminine way if they don't have any resentment about being a woman. The left are trying to inculcate women to having a resentment about their own gender, what nature gave them, the same as they are attacking heterosexual men for being heterosexual men and attacking Christians for being Christians. Yet they don't, in the contradiction of that, they don't attack Muslims. Now, you have to read an awful lot of history to delve into and find what are the root causes and connections between the beginning of something or how it pans out, and why the left now are on the wane, because people are working out what they're really all about. They're actually with it. We get back to it? The Gestapo was Hitler's henchmen. They were the police Nazis. Lots of them, the Gestapo, were homosexual. They weren't heterosexual, and because of that, it sort of curated. They used to torture people terribly and all that sort of stuff. And they put all those without any feelings towards humanity. They marched millions of people, not just Jews. The Jews have got all the attention, but the Christians and gypsies and all sorts of people, homosexuals as well. They marched, people who were blatantly so. Never mind the Gestapo are, which is a perversion of things. But obviously, the Gestapo said, well, okay, we can cover ourselves even though we are like this. We're not going to braid any Aryans, but we can join Hitler and become, be the hitmen for him, sort of thing, the Nazi police for him. So there you can see there's a connection now directly with that attitude. What Hitler, that revolved within the Nazis and within the Gestapo that condemned Christianity. It attacked Israel, it attacked the Jews, killing millions of them, and was aligned with Islam. It was aligned with the Islamic system, and whether that's gone away or not, whether that dissipated, whether that contract between the Nazis and the Islamic Orthodox Islam is continuing, is something that it needs investigating. In my humble opinion, we need to investigate why now the left are anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, anti-heterosexual male, saying you're a toxic male if you're a male Christian, but they don't say you're a toxic male if you're an Islamic suicide bomber. They sort of make apologies for you and make up excuses why you're an Islamic suicide bomber. Not that you're not a toxic male anymore if you're Islamic and bolshy and angry and blowing things up or causing trouble for society. No, that's fine, because the left dare not criticise Islam whatsoever, which in itself, since Islam stands against everything that the left stand for, including climate change, because Islam puts it down to God, and rightly so, or down to nature, whichever God may be nature, so you can say that as you like, or see that as you like, philosophically speaking. God is nature, so climate change is down to nature. But so everything the left do contradicts and is a contradiction or a criticism of Islam, but it only takes it out on its attacking, using its political muscle now within society and universities and the orthodoxy and establishments and the bureaucracies to attack Christians, undermine the Christian values of a society. So you have to suspect the left ultimately work for Islam, and ultimately it's all about controlling society for whatever that ultimate aim is. It's an ultimate aim to totally control society. And Christian societies are only controlled by their own self-will and their own self-discipline, and the knowledge they gain that is for their benefit. They're not controlled by, like the old-fashioned Catholic system, by fear. Free Christian societies are about questioning our environment and become scientific. And that's gave us all the modern world we have and all the great benefits of it, regardless the left are flat out condemning using some little person called Greta Thunberg as a spokesperson for them, which proves without any shadow of doubt the left haven't got any knowledge, or they can't actually give you a proper argument for their case, simply because they use a 16-year-old girl as their poster child.